Niagara was shocked when a statue of Harriet Tubman was found knocked off its pedestal and damaged next to the Salem Chapel of the BME Church in St. Catharines. Church historian Rochelle Bush is with us in our Niagara Falls studio. Rochelle, can you describe your feeling when you arrived at the church and saw that statue sitting on the pavement?
When I arrived at the church and seen the statue, I wanted to double over. My knees buckled. So shocked and so disheartened to see that somebody had actually toppled the statue.
It was a controversial thing, and definitely when you look at this icon of St. Catharines history, I guess the thought must have been going through your mind, who on earth would have done this? And video was eventually found and the perpetrator was caught. What was your feeling when you saw that video?
When I saw the video, I was stunned, obviously, because the gentleman looks like he's high, but he also looks like he's having an okay time, because it's like he has a cell phone on his lap and he's doing a little bit of dancing while he's on the bench, but it also looks like he's trying to string something together. But then you can see him starting talking to the night sky, talking to the tree, and then talking to the statue. And then he gets up, he walks over to the statue, he punches it, then he spits on her. That shocked me. Then he punched it again, he backed up, moved towards it, and then just toppled it. So in my mind, it's a combination, because most of the people who are in the downtown core, the transients or the sex trade workers and whatnot, people with addictions, the homeless, they understand the church to be either the black church, most commonly the underground church, and sometimes the Tubman church. So the question was, did he know where he was, and did he know what he was doing? Like, why do that to a statue of a black woman who's a celebrated 19th century humanitarian? So a lot of questions. So it's 50-50 as to why it happened.
It really sheds a light on what happens with some of these people living on the streets, some of these people that are addicted. Really sheds a light on mental health issues.
Yes. So it's heavy narcotics, as we all know, the opioid crisis. But the sad part about it for me is the anger that's displayed. So during the withdrawal period, people become violently angry. And I'll give you another example. So 3 nights after that incident, looking at the videotape again, because I don't watch it that much, but for some reason, our berry tree that's next to the statue is being attacked. So it was vandalized 3 times this year. So I'm looking at the video camera, 4 young people, all in their 20s, a white male, a black male, 2 young white girls. They put something on a piece of paper. It's a spark like a firecracker. They're all huddled around it, inhaling it. For about the next 7 to 10 minutes, they're all laid out, passed out type thing. And then they get up and they depart. But the 2 girls walked around the back of the courtyard and walked in to the berry branch. Then it was game over. The anger, the rage in both females, they just reefed on this branch to rip it right off. It's sad, and this is like 9:30 at night, but that's more damage to our property and our poor tree again. Eventually, we won't have a berry tree if it keeps happening.
Have you heard from the police whether or not the perpetrator towards the statue has explained why he did what he did?
No, I have not heard anything like that, other than the police did inform me that the young man really didn't know what was happening.
Lots
he
of
didn't
damage.
Remember.
Lots
Yes.
of damage to the statue.
Yes, well, her nose is gone, so.
We're going to replace that statue. There's a GoFundMe campaign started by Natasha Bell.
Yes. So Natasha Bell is my cousin. She had reached out to me a few times indicating that people wanted to donate to the statue. So I asked her, would you like to start a GoFundMe? And thank God she said yes. She's the only person I could think of doing it. So she started the GoFundMe. She's the organizer of it. And thanks to her, we're going to, succeed and have the statue replaced.
$13,000 was your goal. Is
Yes.
that the entire cost to replace it?
Yes, and that's the entire cost to replace a bronze statue.
So you're going from this concrete molding to a bronze statue,
Yes.
and that should solve some of the problem moving forward if it ever happens again?
Yes, and fingers crossed that it doesn't happen again. So the difference between the specialty cement is $11,500 to $12,000. That's the estimate from the original sculptor, Frank Ricout, who's now in Florence, Italy, to a bronze statue of $13,000. So really $1,000 difference.
Well, that's fantastic that Frank will be able to do this for you.
Yes, we're greatly appreciative of his work.
What's the timeline to seeing that back on its pedestal?
Well, he said end of winter, perhaps, but we're hoping that we have it there and it can be installed in the early spring.
Also some restoration going on at the church. We're talking about the 2 front windows.
Yes, so right now, contractors, or I want to say skilled tradesmen, carpenters, set up scaffolding last week at the Salem Chapel, and they're restoring our 2 front windows, so the ones that face Geneva Street.
This is a big job, an important job. You're talking about some walnut timbers on those
Yes.
windows. So you're trying to recreate the original look of those windows as
Yes.
well.
So what they'll do is they'll take out the rotted or deteriorated wood, replicate it, and then replace it.
How long will that take?
For the 2 front windows, that's probably going to take upwards to 2 weeks. So they started last week, maybe a little bit less, and then they have 2 side windows to do as well. So one on the south side and one on the north side.
Was it difficult to find carpenters who are skilled enough to handle this kind of restoration?
Mike, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a nightmare, because when you can find skilled carpenters, they're not available. So another example, one gentleman that I reached out to, and I reached out to him in May. He would be available to work on the church, but in December 2022.
Wow.
So him and his crew. So that's how difficult it is to find skilled tradesmen locally in Niagara. Because the bulk of them are working, along the lakeshore, cottages for Americans, or for the wealthy GTA folks who are living along the lakeshore, Lake Ontario from the GTA.
And comparatively speaking, this job is going to be a short-term, smaller job to some of the ones that they're used to taking.
That's correct. But it would be the most prestigious, but that is of no interest because they're looking at long-term and big money, where this might be prestigious, but it's short-term and low money.
Let's get back to the statue itself. Just the importance of having Harriet Tubman on the grounds of that church, having that likeness.
Yeah.
Again, she's such an important person in St. Catherine's history, in Black history in Canada and the United States.
Oh, 100%. So she's the face of the Underground Railroad movement of 19th century, of course. So the church, first and foremost, is the primary visitor attraction. When we're not there, because you can only get inside Salem Chapel by appointment. So when we're not there, visitors will still come far and wide throughout North America, and they will view the exterior of the church. They'll read the plaques. Secondary to the church would have been the Harriet Tubman statue. So that's why we desperately want the statue replaced.
Are there any plans to make the statue more secure so this kind of thing doesn't happen again in the future?
Yeah, there are plans, and this is the sad part. We're going to have to make it a gated community. So there will be a gate at the back, and then there will be a gate at the front, which means nobody will be able to see the statue. Even if they're coming, say, they're on a small family trip from, let's say, North Carolina. If they want to view that statue and we're not there, guess what? They're going to be looking from the sidewalk on Geneva Street, or they're not going to see it at all. And that's the sad part, just because of one lone individual.
That is very sad.
Yes.
Rochelle, thanks for joining us today and shedding some light on this tragedy. I'll call it that because I believe that it was a tragedy. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciated.